Have you ever felt that tingling, that buzz, that like undeniable force that lifts you up when you realize you've changed someone's life? Have you ever felt that? I hope so, because it is fantastic. And that's the core of influence, which is one of the five pillars of leadership that every extraordinary leadership does. Influence is a central requirement for extraordinary and limitless leaders. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, my name is Clay Cutts. I'm a therapist turned business and leadership coach, and I'm also the founder of Square Peg Coaching. I help good leaders become great and great leaders become extraordinary. So I've been working with corporate clients and individual clients in a coaching relationship over the past few years. Um, I've noticed patterns, right? And I noticed that there are five things that extraordinary leaders do. And today we're gonna dig into one of them, which may be the most important one: is influence. And to me, what I saw was the really good leaders that I worked with. They were able to have other people on their team participate in high value activities without a lot of friction. And I was like, what is that about? What is it about that person that they're able to do that? Because a lot of leaders can't do that. A lot of managers can't create that, right? It's like pushing a boulder uphill all the time to get people to work. And I watched it and I watched it and I started seeing it in a few other different leaders, and particularly leaders that I was working with who were improving. All of a sudden, they were able to do this. And again, I always want to understand why, because I want to be able to repeat it. And what I finally landed on was that what they were doing was they had a high level of influence, is how I define it. And for me, influence is the closest thing to a synonym to leadership that I could find. If we can't, and I'll say it this way: if we can't influence our teams or our peers or our coworkers or our bosses or our customers, whoever it is, if we can't influence them, we can do everything else right. But if we can't influence them, the ball's not really going to move. The needle's not really going to swing at all, right? So influence is not manipulation. It's not strong arm. And it's not threat. And it's not fear. It's none of that stuff, right? Like the whole ideas of like the stoic boss who says, "This is my way. You're going to do it, or you get fired." Like those days are gone. Those days are gone. And if you're still leading that way, you're going to get. I mean, you're at the very least you're going to be lonely because everybody's going to leave, right? And should we have to lead in a way that fits the new culture? Maybe not, and we do, because the people that we have to draw from our teams are products of the culture that we live in, right? So learning how to influence within the paradigm that we find ourselves, that's a piece of flexibility that I talk about a lot, that extraordinary leaders, that limitless leaders have to have. So I'm going to run through a couple of points here that talk a little bit about influence, so you can kind of see what I mean by it, and also how to develop it. And by the way, all the things that I talk about, all the five N's, influence being the first one of them, are learnable. Like we can develop these skills through intentionality and practice. Okay, so here's some valuable points that to think about in terms of influence. Um, Influence is beyond just words. It's not just words. It's not just what we say. Um, Execution and commitment to your vision inspires others, and we're going to talk about envisioning later. A leader's actions, their discipline against procrastination, their resilience against criticism, and their constant effort towards mastery speak way louder than words. The way you're being in the world and the way you're being in your company, the way you're being with your team screams at your team. They will hear that way more than what you say. Second point is building a positive culture as a part of influence. And this is something you're never done with. This is ongoing forever and ever and ever. As long as you're in a leadership position, you're working on culture. And the culture isn't just about guidelines. It's not just rules, and it's certainly not some like catchy phrase that you have put on the the wall of your lobby. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about authentic interactions. I'm talking about emotional intelligence. I'm talking about true, deep empowerment in all industries. Yes, all industries. It's about vulnerability. It's about understanding. It's about empathy. Right? There's a new paradigm in leadership here, and these are the sort of the hallmarks of a modern and limitless leader. The third point is embracing authenticity. And this is really counterintuitive, especially for people my age and older, right? There was my work self, and then there was everything else. And I was like, this role I played, this avatar of who I was professionally that was separate from who I was outside of work. Now, there's still that separation, but it's a lot um, more gray area. It's more integrated, right? So, authentic leaders who show strength and show vulnerabilities attract trust, right? And trust is the currency of leadership. If you are not trusted, you cannot lead. People will not truly follow someone they don't trust, right? And so being authentic amplifies your influence and turns it into inspiration. It sort of sets the groundwork for inspiration, which is one of the other five N's that we're going to talk about. The fourth point here is the power of emotional intelligence, right? This is key, and this is talked about all over the place these days. And there's a reason for it. Again, that the days of the stoic boss, pointing her finger and yelling at people is gone, right? Before we can influence change, we have to understand emotions. We have to understand how we feel. We have to understand how our team feels. Now, let me be clear. It's important. You are responsible for understanding how they feel, how your team feels, and you're not responsible for their feelings, right? Those are different things, and we'll dig into that more. But that's an important distinction. You have to understand, and it's amazing how many people I talk to, clients, in both back in the day in therapy and today in coaching. I'll say, "How do you feel?" And they'll go, "What do you mean?" And they really, honest to God, like these are smart people, educated people that can't tell you, they can't like find and identify an emotion, right? So learning to do that is a critical leadership skill here. So the fifth thing is the continuous personal growth, yours, right? So things are changing faster and faster and faster. Technology is an accelerator, right? And to be able to keep up, learning never stops. Now, and so your personal growth, a leader's personal growth, isn't just about you, it's about all those you influence, right? And to being modeling self-care, modeling personal growth, making it a normal part of business, so that you're, and letting your team see that is a critical part of influence. So those are the 5 points I wanted to talk about today. And let me just say this as I wrap up. You're in a great position. You have a lot of power. You hold in your hands the power to create waves of change. I think about it like a rock into a pond, and the ripples go out and out and out. And if you're the rock, and you can create change in your immediate uh, direct reports, and then in your peers, and then in other departments, and then for your bosses, and then for your clients, and then for families, and then for their right. And so every single person has this huge power. And so I'm saying to you right now, By mastering influence, not only do you sort of shine a light on the path for yourself, you illuminate the way for countless others. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It allows you to have more influence, which creates impact. You can take this limited time that you have on this planet, however many years it is, and have an outsized impact on the world. It allows you to create a more powerful legacy. This is big. This is big stuff, and you're up to it. Here's to becoming a limitless leader and changing the world one influence at a time. Are you up to it? I hope so, because the world needs you.